What's up, guys? NJ here, bringing you everything strategic. Boy, oh boy, do we have a big update. And I gotta make this short too, so you don't have to read through all that stuff. It's ridiculous. So let's get started. These are the basic big changes that I'm gonna cover. Five different aspects. So let's go with the first one, anti-air changes. Then we'll go into the other five. And you might need to pause the video when we get into the number 5 with ship adjustments. Anti-air guns on capital ships now work, guys. They now work, at least specifically on the ships that, like when you read anti-air Mare Nubian and stuff, they work at least a lot better. But I do have a ranking system here to give you an idea where they rank and how well they do. This is purely based on how much damage it does for its CP costs. So, larger CP ships need to be dishing out more anti-air damage because it's eating up your room in your fleet. So there's more ships here that you can look at. You're more than welcome to pause, but there's a lot to go through here. And then I made a little B tier. This is more vague, I'd say. Defensive Taurus is actually pretty good, but more in that B tier. And then you have the other ships. I don't know about the bigger ships. Unfortunately, the light cone, anti-air light cone, has been a disappointment. I think it would fall into this B tier as well. Okay, subsystem changes. So all subsystems except for your propulsion subsystem, they regenerate now. But when it's destroyed, 5% of its hull of that ship that had that subsystem destroyed is gone. So it's a new way of doing damage. They're trying to bring back subsystem damage, it seems, by doing that. Weapon and hangar subsystems regenerate twice. It's every 25 seconds. So it's destroyed, it's dead for 25 seconds, it'll come back. And then you can destroy it again, which means another 5% hit points gone on its total hull. So that's an interesting change. We'll see how well or practical that is for dishing out damage. Next up, there's a new healing system that we have. This might be interesting. Not only are we probably going to see battle cruisers come more into play, especially for tanking, we might see more support ships in battle now. I don't know if it'd be practical. We will have to find out when this fully comes through and everyone starts testing things out here. But basically, as you see how this works, and to give you an idea, really, it's only going to be best for this bonus healing for big ships, but there are, as I said, there's some ships that has even more additional healing based on what it has for its armor system. So you do have that, but simply put, the ST-59, for example, if you maxed out its armor with no new mods, and then you gave it the additional armor mod that it has in it, or I mean additional mod, I mean it's in its mod it has an additional healing enhancement. You give it that, the 2 armor mods and the healing enhancement, you will double the healing it receives from support ships. So that's just a simple example. So that's 330 armor. So if you got a lot less armor on that ship and it's a lower tier ship, it's probably not going to heal that much more, but that is there. Now for hit point adjustments here. Overall, every single ship, capital ship, its hit points is increased by approximately 10%, but it varies between ships. Like, for example, I'm trying to think off the top of my head, the Aldebra, I think, got the biggest hit point boost, percentage-wise. It might even be 15% or 14%. But most aircraft got a hit point boost, 5 to 10%. There are some additional armor increases, buffs, that can increase an additional 12 to 14% more, like for battle cruisers that have the right system for that, or even with some of the other blueprints. You might have 6 upgrade slots for a 12% more hit point boost, so keep that in mind. Now let's look at the long list for ship adjustments here. I'll try and be quick here, but there's a lot of them. You might have to pause to look through some of these, and I'm pretty much showing the screen but highlighting the things that I think were worthy to highlight and mention. To me, the big one here is the Marshall Crux ability. Before, it was only 10% evasion. It's now 50% evasion for that ability in its base mod for its hangar. You also have this where there's a focus on the D2 system for supercapital ships. I'll get into that. There is now no more focus on carriers anymore from my memory, unless the Xeno still has it. The normal Stingray or the normal Xeno might still have that though, and it's not Supercapital ships. The Solar Whale has changes here. You can pause the screen to look at what these changes are. I'm going to keep moving to keep this video short. The Spear of Uranus has a lot of different changes. The biggest thing to me is this one. After battle, you will heal for that amount right there. After battle, the Spear will. So that's pretty neat. As well as that one in blue. That's going to be interesting, especially if you combine it with that one. You're healing and you're getting damaged. There's good damage potential from the spear just because of that. Don't know if it's practical, but it is interesting to see that. Constantine the Great. It has its strategy changed and different things changed here. If you take a look at those right there, and you might want to pause to take a look at those. Then other mods for Constantine the Great. Here's a nerf here. Only 10% damage boost for energy instead of 15%. This, I think, is a bonus in that specific spot for the mod for the CTG. It applies to all subsystems and not just its own, which originally was 60% crit reduction for only that subsystem. But now it's for all, but it's 15%. I think that'll be nice. ST-59, big change here. 450 cruise speed, man. That is going to be very practical to run in fleets now, even for a cheap tank to run. Like anybody could run it now with 450 cruise speed. That'll be nice. That'll be very nice, especially if you're in a clan with the ×6 reinforcements, in my opinion. Some changes in weapons too with what it targets too. They did nerf the EM armor and they buffed the HP armor boost. Eternal Storm, they got changes here. I think this is a pretty big change here with its plasma caster able to hit mid-row and back-row targets. That's very good in my mind. You might see more Eternal Storms. Predator and Jaeger, okay, this is big. They no longer focus fire with that strategy on carriers. It is now just super capital ships. So they're really trying to emphasize a battle cruiser meta. More battle cruisers we're probably going to see to help do some tanking and mitigate damage for your carriers. Just keep that in mind. It's pretty interesting with the changes. Oh, it's also nerfed. It's 25% attack reduction rather than 35% for both the Predator and Jaeger. Levy, there's just going to be various changes for aircraft here. This is to help keep it alive. Keep in mind all fighters and the Levy, except for the Loyal. Any reciprocal attack type, they have to travel now, travel back and forth, and they can get hit and shot by these capital ships that now have a target lock-on efficiency. And so these kind of things might help mitigate damage here. The T-800, this is definitely worth noting. With the changes, its anti-ship capabilities have been nerfed, but its anti-air capabilities remain relatively the same. Why is this? There's a 2-second attack duration, so you don't get as much bonus from the 40% RTB or the 50% RTB from the Solar Whale with the maintenance bay. However, with this bonus 40 damage added on to the 120, that kind of makes the anti-air capabilities the same despite the attack duration having a 2-second attack duration. So basically it's full attack cycle is doubled, but it does 2 rounds per cycle. So overall, anti-air same, anti-ship has gotten nerfed. Stingray. Stingray has one of those protective abilities. You can look at that, but note what I have here. All aircraft with subsystem damage attached to it, in its command system, has the ability to retarget, which changes either from small ships to big ships or big ships to small ships, depending on what its original target priority is. And it's for all those aircraft. Vitus B has its own special ability there to help it for survivability. Then you have the Spore as well. Then big thing here and final thing in this video is the Strix. It now does subsystem damage. Yes, and it hits the primary weapon system. Its anti-air capabilities are still great, but when it's attacking ships now, it's not going to dish out as much damage. It's going to be attacking the subsystem, and most of the time it's going to be hitting the subsystem, probably like 70% of the time. Hope you got much out of this. Hope this helps you out so you don't have to spend 2 hours reading through that long, big update list. Until then, see you later.